Were you surprised to be selected as a Woman of Woodland?
I was surprised and I was honored. I feel that there are many women in this school who'd be deserving of the honor just as much as I am. I also feel that what you're doing in terms of recognizing women is so important to not just the women in this building, but to the young female students as well as the male students to really understand and recognize what it is that people do every day in this school.
How would you describe yourself?
Well, I guess there's positives and negatives to everybody, right? I mean, I definitely am a little bit sarcastic, and I would say that, sometimes that comes across as being strong-willed, and sometimes that will come across as, as humor, I think, for a lot of people. I do try to work hard. I think that and be a team player, those are things that are important to me. I think that one of the other things that's very important to me is that people view me as compassionate, and that when I'm doing things in this building and making decisions for people, that I'm always trying to be keeping their best interests in mind.
What are some personal beliefs that guide you in your decisions that you make?
And I would say that this has changed more since I had children of my own, but I try to make many of my decisions based on, would that be the same decision that I would want for my own children? I always look at things from the perspective of how would I want my own children to be treated, and how would I want my own children to be taught, and how would I want to be spoken to as a parent, and those kind of guide a lot of the decisions that I make on a daily basis.
In what ways do you try and make our community and school in the world a better place?
I do volunteer my time a lot when it comes to sports for my children. I think that sports is an excellent spot for leadership skills, as well as learning a lot of life's tough lessons, and also learning how to be a team player. So I was an athlete growing up, and that's always been a guiding principle of mine, is that that involvement in athletics can be such a positive thing and teach so many things that are valuable for moving forward in someone's life as an athlete or not as an athlete. So I volunteer my time to coach my own children, to coach other people's children, because I think there's so many valuable lessons to be learned.
What's your involvement with students and faculty?
I have an advisory like everybody else, and that's been one of the highlights of being able to be with a group of children since I'm no longer in the classroom. And the time that I spend with the faculty is, I do the typical things of evaluating staff, but I like to think that the staff in this building can feel comfortable coming to speak with me when they have concerns about a student or about curricular issues.
Where do you find the courage to stand up for yourself, your principals, and or others?
I think that comes from, I'm going to go back to athletics again. I think that I've learned a lot from my experiences as a young athlete, as a high school athlete, as a collegiate athlete, that, there's times when you need to stick up for yourself. There's times when it's important to be a team player. I learned a lot about leadership, and I think that does carry into my leadership style as an assistant principal, is that I look back on my time as an assistant coach at the collegiate level and what was important in my role as far as being an assistant to a head coach. I look at the same as an assistant principal to the principal. What are the things that he needs me to do in the building to be able to support our efforts and to move us forward?
Now, what made you want to be a vice principal?
I started in a social studies classroom at Hamden High School, and I had that position, and I had pursued my 6-year degree to be able to have an administrative certificate. And at that time, I wasn't really looking to be an assistant principal, and a position had opened up at Hamden High School, and it was offered to me. And it was a mid-year fill-in for an assistant principal who was leaving. And so I said, well, let me do this for the last 4 months of school to see if I enjoy this, and really if I wanted to make that transition from the classroom into the administrative realm. And really what happened was that I realized that I was able to touch a lot of students that I didn't get to touch in the classroom, in terms of being able to help students who are struggling. I taught mostly AP and honors classes, and there was a whole segment of the population of that school that I wasn't getting in touch with, that I felt that I wasn't really being able to influence as many students as I had hoped. So I find that in the assistant principal position, I get to help students in different ways than I was able to in the classroom, and that's really been a motivation.